I'm not sure when to take it back. I'm freezing. Maybe you've experienced this, because I think we all have at some point, and it could be the way that you're thinking about your golf swing in terms of movement. And just think about how you move in general life. You wouldn't even pay it any attention. You just trust your body to move. There's no apprehension, anticipation of what might happen. You are just reacting to an intention. But in golf, we tend to get so overloaded ourselves with the information we're taking on board in an effort to try and control movement that we actually start to lose the true intention of the movement, which is to play the golf shot. And we start to disconnect, and it becomes playing golf swing instead of playing a golf shot. And so the way our body reacts is different. This is now very internally driven, controlled under tension, and any potential opportunity to create a flowing dynamic action is probably already lost before we even start. So if we're focusing on the first foot or 2 foot or 3 foot, or thinking of a one-piece takeaway, or thinking about putting the club in a certain position, moving everything together, we're already intervening consciously in what should be a natural, fluid response. And therefore, the way we're thinking about the golf club and thinking about moving the golf club is really influencing the organisation of the movement and that natural dynamism. So it's not really an authentic version of ourselves. It's something we're trying to construct. We're almost acting because we're manipulating. And by tensioning something unnaturally, we're actually restricting other parts of the body. For example, hi guys, we're going back to Turkey, to the glorious Serenity Resort. It's a 5-star golf resort, and we're there in April from the 21st to the 24th. It's 4 days of coaching and playing with myself and Fars and one of the GRF staff, and 5 nights at the fantastic Serenity 5-star resort. If, like me, you're fancying a bit of guaranteed sun, be sure to join us, but be quick because there's 1 space left, and we hope to see you join the group. If we take an elastic band or an elastic chain, if I pull this away from here, this end has to resist with the same amount of force to maintain its position in space. It's not going with it. So in an effort for me to pull here, this has to pull in the opposite direction, which now compromises the function at this end. So unintentionally, we are restricting the potential movement of our body when we are moving the club in a predetermined manner under tension. So I want you to think about, guys, how you're starting the swing. But we're going to reframe it in terms of a responsive reaction, because this game is not a static game. Contrary to beliefs, yes, the ball is stationary, but we're not. Now, when we move, our position relative to this object is changing. But just think about where that object is in relation to me in space. If I move this way, that's exactly the same as the club moving that way. So when I move, essentially the club moves, irrespective of where I am. The relationship between me and this object is changing. So when we move, in essence, the ball's moving, and we can start to use this movement to create momentum, to sense some fluidity in the system. We can start to waggle the golf club. We can start to feel the club head. We can feel the hands and the wrists. We can feel the elbows. We can feel the shoulders. They're moving. The hips, the knees, the ankles, the feet. There's a little paddling motion going on here. Mini stomping from side to side. The system is in a responsive state. It's moving. Very subtle, yet dynamic. And then we can start to settle. Now, how do we maintain this flow? Even when we put the club behind the ball, there's a little bit of a shift. What we've got to do is enable this to continue. So how do we allow the backswing to flow in a sequence? What I want you to do is take the club in your lead arm, and I want you to rotate your chest away from the arm. So just maintaining that position in space there, just allow your rib cage to rotate and separate from the arm. In golf we see so much talked about connection, arms close to the rib cage, keep everything together, but this just serves now to lock everything out. Imagine trying to throw a ball in a connected form. So, rotating the rib cage away, just feeling your rib cage rotate the spine, use the feet now. Recognise how the feet and the hips can help you rotate the rib cage away from this golf club. And then what I want you to do is hold the club in the air now and swing it back, but use that rib cage first, just to throw the club. If you're struggling to feel it from here, hold the club out in front of you, rotate the rib cage first, and then swing the club. So you can feel how the rib cage rotates. This loads the shoulder, and now the shoulder pulls the elbow, the wrist, and the club. But it's just a throwing action in this direction led by the rib cage. Now, of course, we're not just rotating the rib cage. You can see my pelvis is rotating. So now we can move down to the pelvis, use the pelvis to rotate the rib cage, to swing the club from the shoulder. The club head is the last thing to react. Now, notice what your feet and ankles are doing. Just sense them. You'll feel your ankles rotating. You'll feel your feet interacting with the ground in order to move the hips, to move the pelvis, to move the torso. So now focus on the feet and the ankles, to move the knees, to move the hips. And then the pelvis reacts, the torso reacts, and the club is the last thing to react. Now start that from here. Just to throw the club up. Notice how early your feet have to act and how the body then reacts from the ground up, and the club gets thrown. It's getting thrown from the shoulder. But the energy for that is coming from the rotation of the rib cage. And that enables this shoulder joint then to swing the club freely and the arm to react because it's fluid. So now I want you to increase the swing, starting here, kind of hip height on the lead side. Now throw it back, just in the air. Notice where this momentum has to come from. Now you might find yourself already starting to push off the ground, creating a little drop and pop for the backswing. So there's a little bit of flexion extension going on. There's a little bit of a shift first, and then a rotation and a push. So what the body's doing, the arm doesn't have to do, which means we can start to use the swing weight a little bit more freely. We can start to therefore feel it. The body's more aware of it. So just putting both hands on the club now, starting over here, lead side, and just use the legs, the hips, the rib cage, and let the shoulders and the arms react. To throw it back and up, around the body. And then bring it down to ground level without a ball first, and just feel how this all moves. We're separating the body from the arms. We're separating the body from the lever system. Lever system being neck to shoulder, shoulder to wrist, wrist to club. That's one lever, that's another lever, here's another lever. So the movement of the spine influences the shoulder girdle swings the arm, wrist swings the club head. So from here, let's get moving the rib cage first by using the lower body. See, there's movement here. So the club can react. And then just have a couple of shots. Exploring fluidity. Flow. Not this utopian kind of flow state mentally, a flow state physically. We're actually always in flow state in movement, if you think about it. Whenever you're driving your car, walking, going about your daily business, you never think about how you move. You never give it a second thought. So you're constantly in a flow state, movement-wise. But you pick up this, and suddenly we lose that state. We start thinking about what we're going to do with it. And therefore, we lose that natural, intuitive interaction with this, and that responsive reaction, movement-wise, to the golf shot, to the intention of the shot. So we've got to get that back. We've got to get that flow back. We've got to start trusting our body. We've we've got to start moving freely and letting the body react. We've got to let the arms react to the body. Now, to enable this to happen, we're having to shift pressure, we're having to use the ground, we're having to move our body, create some momentum so that we don't have to do it with the arms. We're trying to take that demand away from the arms, the chest, the shoulders, so therefore the rest of the body needs to do it. So using a GRF board, make your own at home if you need to, the most basic form, piece of wood on a dowel or a golf shaft or a broom handle, and just find a board that's going to enable you to rock. I'm going to show you another option in a minute, but from here all we're doing is starting on our trail foot, and then we're going to rock forward and then rock back and then let the body react. So there's a shift forward, shift back, and then the body reacts. Pressure forward, pressure back, and then the arms react to go. We're lighting our feet. It's the same thing in a golf swing. Forward and back, and then let the club react. So it's 1 forward, 2 back, and then the club reacts. 1, 2, then it reacts. But it's the reaction. We're not just swinging the club back with the arms. We're using what we just felt there, rotation of the rib cage. Let's sequence the upper chain. The upper chain being the torso, the shoulder, the arm, the club. So we can start to feel this reaction. 1, 2, and then it swings. So now the body action is leading the swinging of the arms and the club. So now we've got a sequence that we're influencing. The golf club is lagging behind. It's lagging behind in the backswing. So as we change direction, it's now lagging behind in the downswing. We've already created lag from the beginning. So I would say, yes, the takeaway is important, but it's important in terms of sequence, not positioning. We just want to create the right order of sequence so the club is reacting to us. So if we move the board to create the momentum, the arms aren't under any excessive demand to move the club, then we start to sequence the body. Now the arms can react, now the club can react, and now it's reacting to us, it's lagging behind us. We change direction, it's lagging behind in the downswing. We've got the lag for free. So when we step back, we can feel this little shift forward and back, and let the club react to this rotation. If you watch the guys on TV, you're going to see it. You're going to see this movement from the rib cage, the spine. They are rotating their spine to swing the club back. Because what reacts to the spine are the shoulders and the arms, and therefore the wrists and the club. Some players do hinge the wrists earlier, of course they do, but look at the dynamism in terms of how they're moving their body. They are super quick at sequencing their body at the same time. So it may look driven by the hands, but their body is organising around it to maintain that sequential flow. So we're allowing the club to react, the swing weight to react, and now it's light. It's not heavy. You'll see so many people, we do all the time, work so hard with the arms are almost moving as much as the golf club, as opposed to just letting the club travel freely with an economy of effort with the arms. Now we can do a step exercise. So if you don't have a board, no problem. Start with your feet together. 2 mini steps. Half a step to the lead, half a step to the trail, and then you swing. So it goes 1 to the left, 2 to the right, then the swing. 1, 2, swing. 1, 2, swing. So there is some lateral applied. Pressure to the left, pressure to the right, and swing. But it's done in a fluid manner. It's not 1, 2, and then swing. It's 1, 2, 3. And you can play golf shots like this. So if we move back onto the mat, taking your setup, feet together, only small steps, because if you make a big step, the stance becomes too wide. That restricts the body movement in terms of interaction with the ground, then rotation of the body, and then it becomes arms, upper body driven again. Small steps. 1, 2, 3. 3 being the rotation of the rib cage. Just nice, easy, leisurely 3/4 swings. and we can start to create a flow in this direction to create a flow in that direction, and release that club effortlessly. So guys, have a play around with this. Try it on the board. If not, use your step exercises. Explore what it's like to separate the rib cage from the arm, freeing up the movement from the ground up, and let the club react, and just spend a few shots, not getting too concerned, too emotionally attached to the outcome. Just explore body movement. Just enjoy swinging freely. And then as you start to get comfortable, then start to get a bit more shot specific, build the swing up a little bit, then start going into your shot patterns and start changing clubs and move on from there. So guys, have some fun with that exercise. Let us know how you get on in the comments, and see you next time.